SONH Runs Boston has brought in more than $23,000 so far, and we're spending time with our three runners. And what we'll do here is we're going to go in order of their times, which means our board chairman, Eric Tinker, you're going to go last, but only by 1 second.
Okay.
Well, we'll start with Thomas, who at this point, you're an old hand at this thing. This was your fifth Boston Marathon. This one you ran in 2:38:25. And I saw on your social media that you had a little back tweak issue a couple of days before the marathon. Tell us what happened there, Thomas.
So about early-ish March, when I was at work, I hurt my lower back. So for the last month or so leading up to the marathon, I've been putting some ice on it, frozen peas on it, and I've been taking it easy with the lifting. I had another worker with me, helping me out with the lifting.
Prior to the race, you and I spent some time chatting, and you told me that the ultimate goal would be for you to do Boston in 2:34 or less. You didn't make it, but you were 4 minutes and 14 seconds quicker than your last year time for the Boston Marathon. You got to be feeling pretty good about that.
I felt pretty good about beating last year's time. I wasn't. About halfway in the race, I kind of realized, I'm target for a better than Chicago's race. I wasn't going to make it in the second half as much as I was hoping I would at the time, since I got little to no sleep. So I just told myself to survive the second half, not to push it too hard. And that's what I did. I played my game in the second half and still finished with a PR. So I'm happy with the course PR. And if I felt much better sleep, I probably could have made my goal.
All right, next up would be Charlie Helfrich, an SONH athlete. Charlie, you ran the marathon in 4 hours, 57 minutes, and 44 seconds. And before the marathon, Eric Tinker told us straight up in that interview we did at your house in your living room, Charlie, that at the end, you like to run right ahead of Eric, and you beat him by 1 second. Was that the plan all along?
Yes, it was, but it was to finish together.
For you, this was your first ever marathon, so congratulations on completing your first ever marathon, and your first ever marathon being the Boston Marathon. A few weeks ahead of time, you went down to Boston and actually took Heartbreak Hill, and you said after that, on camera, by the way, you said you thought Heartbreak Hill was an easy hill. In the heat of the moment, the actual race with everyone else around, was it still an easy hill?
It was. It was an easy hill.
So for you, what was the toughest part of the Boston Marathon?
The toughest part was guzzling all that water, I think, and almost throwing up, but I pulled through it.
Prior to running Boston, Charlie, what was the longest run you'd ever taken?
A 20-mile run.
How did the 20-mile run compare to 26.2?
It was kind of easy, knowing that I had 6 more miles to go after 20. And then when I got to 21, I was like, okay, it's a 5-mile run now. And then when I got to 26, I knew I was heading towards the finish. Because
I know you, Charlie, I'm gonna cheat here a little bit as an interviewer. For you, what was the best part of the Boston Marathon? And don't say Wellesley College. Running down, making the right on Harvard first and the left on Boylston, because it was very exciting to see all those screaming people, and especially to see Mark Duggan, because I made Mark Duggan almost cry. Thomas, at some point, kind of got hooked on running marathons. Eric has run several marathons prior to running Boston. What about you now, Charlie? Moving forward, you're going to do some more marathons, do you think?
I'm putting Boston Marathon on my bucket list because I did the first marathon, and one marathon is good for me.
It sure is, and congratulations. So, Eric, you're kind of the caboose of the crew here. Sorry,
Yeah, somebody has to be, right?
by 1 second. But you had run 5 or 6 marathons prior to Boston, right?
Correct. This would be my sixth marathon.
But Boston was, as you said, prior to the marathon. After you do a few marathons, if you live anywhere in New England, you kind of want to do Boston. How long has Boston been on your list?
I would say Boston's been on my list since probably when I was just growing up. When I was 17, 18, I knew a bunch of people that actually ran Boston and how exciting it was for them. And just, it's always been kind of out there for me.
So let's talk a little bit about the fundraising. You kind of took the lead in the SONH Runs Boston fundraising. Any
Sure.
folks in particular that you'd like to mention or thank?
So there's so many people out there that have donated and embraced this run. I mean, all the people from Henniker to all my friends and families, my workers. It's such an incredible story of everybody getting behind Special Olympics and these athletes and what they stand for and the dedication, how hard it is. I mean, for Charlie and Thomas and myself to run a marathon, it's incredible. 1% of the people in the world run a marathon, only 1%. And these guys crushed it.
Was there a tough part of the marathon for you, Eric?
So the toughest part of the marathon was, I would say the hardest part of the marathon was we were cruising mile 13. Charlie's looking good. He's running like 10 15s, 10 20s. Then we checked his blood sugar at mile 13 and it was at 400. And so our original goal was 4.5 hours. So at that time, we made a note, say, okay, let's just finish this race, right? And so that was the hard part, adjusting from running faster to a little bit slower and making sure Charlie's drinking enough water to control his blood sugar level. And so I think that was the hardest part of it. My best line from Charlie Helfrich was, it was mile 23. Charlie's running and Charlie goes to me, goes, "My feet hurt." And I'm like, "Yeah, they should. You just ran 23 miles, Charlie." It was incredible. The marathon actually just flew by. It was every town, all the people cheering. It was an incredible day. The thing about Heartbreak Hill is, so at that time we were running, I don't know, 11 and a halves, and we got to Heartbreak Hill, and I have video of us and all these people walking, and I go, "Charlie, see all those people? We're going to zoom right by them because that is like our strength is the hills." And I bet we pass in that little 2-3 mile stretch, about 100, 150 people. And that was very inspiring too, just to zoom by people as they're struggling up a hill and just to see Charlie leading the charge with it. It's just incredible stuff.
Would everybody do it all again?
In like a half a second, I would. in a half a second.
Charlie, how about you?
In a half a second.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
half a second faster than Eric probably though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thomas, what about you? What's your next marathon?
The Clarence DeMar Marathon. It's in Keene. That's my next marathon.
And when is that?
That's the last Sunday of September.
And what about the Boston Marathon for next year? Any eyes on that yet?
I'm playing that one by ear. We'll see how it goes by September. I'm kind of like half yes and half no on that right now. I'll see how it goes. So right now it's a maybe.
All right, Thomas Cantara, 2:38.25. Charlie Helfrich, 4:57.44. Eric Tinker, 4:57.45.
I want to recount on that. I don't know. I want to watch the video again.
Congratulations, everyone, on the Boston Marathon. And thank you so much for the fundraising effort. SONH runs Boston. Thank you, guys.